not
Diamond?
sure. I think so.
No. Sorry.
No?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mute myself. I need to mute.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Jessica. Thank you for
Yes,
being
one,
there. Oh,
two,
the
three.
camera is here too. That's also nice. So I can
Nice. Someone
introduce
is
you
filming.
to the crowd
Right.
first. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
His name is Camera. That can be the case too. Let me see. Amplifying your voice. Do you hear my voice better now?
Yep.
I'm gonna put that to you too. Let me say microphone on. Oh, Donna? Donna?
Yes.
I cannot put his megaphone on.
Okay, let me see what I can do about that.
I tried. Somehow I don't have all the how you say it. I don't have all
You don't have
the.
the.
Okay, I have a role.
I'm not allowed.
Well, you should have. I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a long story. We did it by an import. Allspace did an import for us. So when names are missing, I can't explain why because we didn't even manually do it. Like I didn't make a typo or anything because the computer did it. So I apologize, but
no
yeah.
problem. It's just that's why I cannot do some things like amplify someone's voice. That's a problem if I'm the only one here. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna stay here, but there. I just now. Do you have all the regular things back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Let me see. But I still cannot make him. I cannot put the megaphone on to him.
Okay.
What about
Hang
my
on a
voice?
sec.
Do you hear me?
I'm gonna do something, and then I'm gonna
Yeah.
get you to reset yourself. Okay? Because
Yeah.
when I give you a new role, you just have to do that.
Yeah. So I have to re-enter the space. You mean?
Just you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do the re-enter.
Yeah. Okay, guys. We're gonna have this presentation in 2 minutes. So have a little bit patience, please. Yes, Donna, what you want to say?
Oh no, I got it. You are Captain VR. I should remember that. You are Captain.
Easy now.
You are floating, Nick. Do you stand on a chair or what do you do?
I'm just dancing here.
Okay.
Okay, you can re-enter now, and then you should be good to go.
Okay. Thank you. Yay! Let me see if I have it all.
Oh, hey, Pablo. Nice to see you, Pablo.
Pablo is helping us, eh?
Yeah.
Good. Let me see.
Thank you, Pablo.
Nick. No, I cannot make Nick's microphone louder. No. Let me see if I can do it with other people. I tried to do it yesterday as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot do it with Pablo. Let me see.
My microphone is already on +3.
I gave you presenter rights.
Let me see. Oh yeah, but I can do it with Pablo, for example, I think.
Yep, you can hear me. Da, da, da,
Yeah, exactly. So maybe I'm doing something wrong, or with Nick is it just not possible? Let me see.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, with Nick, it's Nick's his. It's only with Nick actually. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to clap.
I hear everything.
Yeah, and now I microphone the camera. Yeah, so I can microphone everybody, but except Nick. Sorry, Nick.
I'm gonna try something. Okay. I I don't know. I don't think you'll have to re-enter because I did this, but let me try something. Okay, see if you can do it now.
Yeah.
And I'm working on you, Pablo.
No
Nic.
problem. No problem.
No, still with Nic, it seems like he has like all the buttons closed, so the mute, I can also not mute him. I cannot mute him, I cannot put him my...
You're planning to mute our speaker?
No, but I can't, you never know.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I tell you, these things are just, I don't understand. Okay, I really don't understand, but you have presenter rights, so just...
Yeah, good. I just go on. Okay, so, but, yeah, it doesn't matter. So, but everybody's hearing Nic very well?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yes?
You can.
Good.
Yes.
And can you please, are there any new people here? Yes, I see some hearts, but are there any new people here who never been here before? Or you all experienced alt spacers and educators in VRs? Nice. Anyway, so let's start. Nic, do you agree? Or would you like to wait a little bit? Like 10 minutes for people to come in? 5 minutes,
There's
I mean.
another one. Yeah, maybe
Yeah, oh, there's another one.
people are joining.
Yeah?
Oh, no, it's me.
Oh,
Just
it's Pablo. Pablo was here. He's doing that sometimes.
I don't know if it will matter, but there's a few people that went to the social space after Rob's talk, and
Yeah?
And Diamond went over to see if she could bring people back to sessions. But you could probably get started, and a couple people might come later.
Yeah, okay, that's good because we're losing people now because we're not talking also. So I will introduce Nic. Nic has spoken internationally on innovation and science and technology conferences in Brazil, San Francisco, New York, Spain, Austria, Portugal, Thailand, and China so far about the future of work, health, labor, banking, living, organizing, and education. And now he's going to talk about this all here and give a big hand to Nic. Yay! I hear an echo. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your great introduction. I'm Nic van Breda. I'm a Dutch guy. I've been presenting all over the world, but never in VR. So this is my first time that I'm doing this in VR. But I actually like a lot of new technologies, so this is very exciting for me to be here with you. I'm a very passionate guy about outsourcing and CoCreation, and that's also my field of expertise, and that have gotten me into a lot of places. So I really want to go dive deeper into that and how that would shape the future of humanity and how we are going to collaborate more and more remotely on complex problems like climate change issues. I always take co-creation and crowdsourcing as a form to tackle a complex problem, a shape, a channel, a way to tackle complex problems. So I will go through some of these things that I've been doing. Let me see if my presentation clicker is still working, but it can go to the next slide. Let's see. This is not working. Maybe someone can do it for me.
Sorry. Does everybody see his presentation? Or is it gone?
I'm back.
Yes? Okay.
There was something that popped up on my laptop, which made the clicker not working anymore. So now it works. See that?
Okay, good. Yeah.
So now it works again. So I will walk you through some of the examples of how co-creation has been successfully done online. As co-creation is normally done between businesses and schools when they, for example, need good ideas. They are posting questions to people that are replying. This is a form of crowdsourcing. They give a question to an undefined group of people that they don't know, and they are searching for great ideas. But this is just a starting point. For example, in Iceland, they've used this form to crowdsource the ground laws with their citizens. And that's one of the most extreme forms of crowdsourcing as we have seen today, which is amazing. Like it's a democracy 4.0 where everyone has a vote and everyone is able to go write, for example, a book or go write the ground laws. I've been part of co-writing a book. That was really cool. Everyone was writing 2 pages. And in this way, we were able to produce a book within 3 weeks. And that's also possible with a lot of different things. For me, Wikipedia is a form of online crowdsourcing where everyone is able to contribute with content, with knowledge. So everyone is able to edit and actually inform more and more people open sourcely in information that they normally should get in schools, for example, or from books. Now this is changed into an online form and a lot of people are contributing to it. But if you look at it in details, you see that 77% of all the content on that platform is created by a handful of people. So there are some people that are super ambassadors and others they are just users and they're just consumers. So there's not a lot of people that make Wikipedia a big success. It's the same as in the economy. There's an elite group that owns almost all of the money, but they are truly putting much more effort in stuff than others that are not becoming a specialist in some things, but becoming a generalist in things and just want to contribute on a very small scale. So Wikipedia is one of these platforms that are maybe not the right.
Okay, excuse me, sorry, just to interrupt. I have some people who don't see the slides in the stage. Is that for everybody? Can you ask who of the people can see them?
So which slide do you see right now? Is it
I don't see slides, no.
37 million.
Awesome,
yeah.
Yes, that's it. So another platform that uses crowdsourcing is GitHub.
Okay,
and GitHub, maybe you know, it's a platform for programmers and coders, and they have 37 million users that are co-creating projects. That are actually making stuff together online, and they can come from everywhere, but they are using this open source platform. They are seeing the code someone else wrote, and they are able to contribute to that code. So they are able to further develop the code that is written. One of the most known forms of GitHub and its output is Android. The Android devices are made open source. The software itself is made open source, and people are contributing new updates to it. And they are programming new updates that they think are useful for the next Android version. And then Google is the one that started this thing and is able to say, I want that update to be in our next update. And this one is not useful at all, we think, so we leave that behind. But that's a really great form where they don't have to say anything, but people are contributing to the source code of Android from their own willingness. And Facebook, of course, is a huge example of a different form of crowdsourcing. People have a platform where they can spread whatever they want. They can share a video, they can do a live stream, they can even now do a live stream with Altspace VR. But it's a great success to look at if you look at the amount of people they got into the game, they are into the platform, the social technology platform. They are nowadays empowering over 1 billion people every day to work and share together via Facebook. And this doesn't always have to be workers. People are also using it for as a way to showcase their daily lives, as a diary. But a lot of people are now using, for example, Facebook Work to build solutions. And today, for example, I am using Facebook Work for building the Hyperloop. And the Hyperloop is something that's not existing yet. It's a concept. But it's something that we really want, our transport to be clean, to be faster than the intents will be used to. And we were invited with a lot of ambassadors that just requested to collaborate on this project to a Facebook work channel. And in that work channel, you have like Slack channels where you can contribute to, for example, to press, or you can contribute to design, you can contribute to R&D. And there's a lot of channels, and there are a lot of people that are choosing themselves which part they want to contribute in. And that's a really nice way of looking at the future of work. So with Hyperloop, we take a huge challenge, mobility. We want to clean that. We want to clean the streets by making it solar paneled, making it clean in energy. But the quest is so big that we need so much different disciplines to help us, and everyone is invited to join. And this is one of the few organizations that you get in return shares. You join, and every hour you make, and automatically you get a chatbot, you get an email, and that you are going to formulate in the email what you've done and which hours and you spent on working on which part of that Hyperloop. And that's in the end, if that's going to market, like if they have an IPO when they are on the stock market, my shares, my time I've spent to build that Hyperloop is becoming a value. But in the beginning, we are just doing this as ambassadors, and we don't know what the value will be, but we see that future mobility as something we all dream of, so we all contribute to that same mission. So that's how we can look at online platforms and how they have mastered online collaboration. This is a graph of how technology and what technology have changed the world a lot. And I'm talking about the internet that has been an enabler for so much growth in exponential technology, so much access to technology, that the internet was a turning point in how we work together. And now we don't have to think about working together with someone from a neighbor country, where 20 years ago this was almost impossible. We were not able, maybe 25 years ago now, we were not able to work together with someone from another country. Either way, we had to travel, and travel was costly. So now, via the internet, we are more and more able to work together with people from other countries, and it doesn't cost anything anymore. So the cost of working together with someone else has gone to zero, and that makes it possible to work on global challenges together, like NASA and the ESA are doing that. So I just want to further go deeper into that detail. So what if we have SDGs? We have the 17 SDGs, and we can actually solve them via crowdsourcing or co-creation. And then we are talking about the 6 trends. I hope you hear me loud and clear, because I cannot get my microphone any louder. Are you able to hear me? Let me know if you're hearing me with a handshake or emoticon. Yeah? You're able to hear me loud and clear? That's great. So I wanna quickly give you some insights about these 6 trends that have turned this phase of crowdsourcing upside down. So the first phase is the internet, the digitization. For example, your smartphone. Did you know that in your smartphone there's over $200,000 in items now turned into apps? So from the camera that was once it was like $1,000, it is now inside your phone. There are 200,000 euro in items turned into apps, which are nearly free or free to use. And this is digitization. When this digitization happens, there's a phase of deception. People don't know what to do with them. And then there's companies like Apple that are changing the physical book into an e-book, and are making the same handling, the same way of reading a book, but then on a tablet or e-ink tablet or on a phone. So they are good at the deception phase, at the phase of where you turn the real world into the virtual world. How can you do the same things that you do in the real world, also in the virtual world, as effective, of course, preferably as effective as it's in the real world. So reading a book and understanding and being able to to get that information into your head. How can we do that as good as reading online? And we have done some hackathons, some events to try to master this online, to create this deception phase, just to overcome this deception phase. And then you have this disruption phase. So when you are getting an iPod, and that's so much better than downloading your MP3 files, and when we are able to get Netflix, and out of a sudden we have all the songs at our fingertips for nearly free, then you have the disruption phase. So old industries that were based on selling a single music clip were out of a sudden disrupted by Netflix, like with Kodak. The digital camera was inside your phone, and the quality became so good that the analog camera couldn't compete anymore and didn't have a market anymore. So this disruption phase is something that is happening in a lot of industries nowadays. For example, in the car industry, where we're going to drive electric in the future, this disruption is not only caused by technology growth and technology developments, but mostly by regulations, as we see that we get a lot of people that get sick from the CO2 in the air, and the regulators are making sure this disruption is going faster. So the shares of Tesla are jumping up because they don't really have a real competitor in electric cars right now. But the rules are that we in 2030 are not able to drive a fossil fuel car, or at least not buy a fossil fuel car anymore. So the disruption is there to happen to the mobility industry. Then there's the phase of dematerialization, as I told you. If the physical item becomes a software product, then in a cloud storage, things can become so cheap that there's a phase of dematerialization. The trend is that we don't need ownership anymore, but we want to have a way to use items, to use a very expensive car, for example, to rent that car for a day or for a month, to be able to make use of things instead of own things, because space itself becomes more and more expensive, especially here in the Netherlands, where, for example, we have a housing crisis. Houses are getting too expensive, and we are more and more looking into renting models and social housing models where we are co-living with parents, with elderly, and then be able to still have a space in the city center. So that's the phase of dematerialization, and then there's the demonetization. So if technology is getting so cheap because the product line is so well developed, then you see that the cost of use becomes zero. For example, we see that in the solar panel industry. It's only a 20-year-old market. Solar panels are only growing since 2008, when there was a big crisis and people wanted to cut down on their monthly costs. And this solar panels, they're actually now 2 times cheaper than using fossil fuels if you look at the cost price. And then, of course, you have the context. If you're living in the Sahara, of course, you will even have 5 times better outcomes because there's more sun. But even in our country, in a rainy country, solar panels are even more affordable and more cost efficient to generate energy, to create energy, than buying gasoline for your car. So the cost of solar panels went down so much, 10 times in only 10 years, that now there's no doubt anymore that we will go solar, because this technology advancement were so much developed in those years, and the production lines were set up so efficiently that traveling from China to Europe, these solar panels are also so affordable now for poorer areas, so like India, and there's much more sun. Middle East is much more sun. So if they become the next suppliers of our energy that we cannot generate from the sun, but maybe generate from the wind, we will probably co-create together with more nations where there's more space for solar panels and there's more sun. So I would like to see that more happening. So that, for example, Morocco is delivering a lot of solar energy with wires or with batteries or with hydrogen towards Europe, where we don't have that much sun, only from Spain and Italy and Portugal, where the space might be limited. And the last phase, the democratization, is the phase where you and I can help. So by working together with different cultures, we are showcasing that it's a new standard that we are working together with different nations. The funding models are still the same. If you live in a municipality, the funding is for that municipality. They are not going to develop something for another municipality. For the country, it's the same. They are developing, they're using the tax money for the development of that country. But nowadays we have global issues, so we cannot tackle them country by country. We cannot ask from the Netherlands to solve climate change, although we would like to do that, but we are not able to do so. So there you have the phase of democratization, where we have to work together more and more intensively with networks and communities and hopefully countries to tackle these challenges together. And I think the space industry is one of the few industries that have done that from the start, because it was so expensive to do it alone. The Russians are working with the Americans in space travels, and with the Chinese in space travels, and that's a great example. So we are now trying to find astronauts and give astronauts more and more stages so that they can show the overview effect. And the overview effect is, if you went to space, you look at this tiny ball that we are all living on, and you call that tiny ball your home. Whether you're dropped in China or whether you're dropped in Kazakhstan, it's your home. It's the only thing that we have. There's no other planet that we can live on yet. So the people that went to space, they don't believe in competition anymore. They only believe in collaboration. And that's the phase where they are able to give us more and more of this excitement to work together with other countries, because they are the best practices that we now have in terms of working together with countries that in military forces are totally against each other. Even though space is one of the developers of military things, they are working together on the ground level. And that's something we really have to find out how to do that better. For example, via these channels where it doesn't matter how you look like, there's no problems anymore. Maybe language barriers are still there, but translation will come, and real-time subtitles will come. But these things will definitely help in co-creating more and more together with other people all around the world. So if you look at the stats, 70%, almost 70% is willing to work together, and all powered by the web, all powered via the internet. Who of you have already done something in online collaboration with other countries? Are there any of you that, for example, did co-write a book or did co-present a presentation with someone else from another country? How experienced are you in this field? Can I see some hands, or some maybe someone wants to talk about it? Is there someone who wants to tell a little bit about experience that they have in collaborating more and more together with other countries?
Yeah, I can say something.
Yes, sure.
Let's go Thomas first.
Thomas, of course.
Thomas, would you like to go first?
Are you able to
Are you muted?
unmute yourself?
Do you have try to unmute you? Do you see the red button above the triangle? Yeah, he's not muted actually. Oh, he cannot put it louder.
You
Okay, then. Okay, so I will tell you.
Well, if you want, and then I see the text, and I will react on that. Okay.
We can unmute people for a moment and that they can talk.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, he's.
Oh, okay. Now,
hey,
yeah.
Now I hear you.
Hi.
Great. Hi. Welcome everyone.
Yeah,
That's you.
Hello. So my name is Thomas. I live in Japan. So I have the experience of very different culture colliding with English and Japanese, and I'm very much into the real-time text translation concept you're talking about. Like
we are developing that for the Japanese market right now. Do you know the
Yeah.
company Travis or Zoe Meat?
No. No.
We
No.
are developing real-time translation in glasses, so you see subtitles in
Oh.
glasses.
Oh.
Zoe Meat is Travis is very successful in Japan. It's a handheld translator with 155 languages that you can just
Oh.
say your own language in, and then it would translate to the other language. But what if these technologies would be incorporated in, for example, this space? That would be so amazing, right? So there
Yeah.
must be
Yeah.
a way to
Definitely.
do so. So you see, there's the biggest problem in Japan is maybe the language barrier right now to work together.
Yes. For
Is
me.
it because of the
For me.
schooling, education is not providing that, or what is the reason for it?
Yeah. I think it's actually just the complexity of the language differences too. That um, I don't know. For me, I've been studying. I'm only 8 months into studying Japanese, but yeah, the
Yeah,
language differences are so strong that the
mm.
transcription would be much more beneficial.
Yeah, it's still not perfect. Like also the subtitles and the translation is not perfect yet. Mm. Okay, so that would help a lot already. Yeah, the language barrier, trying to tackle that. Thank you for the example. Anyone else who wants to share about their experience, maybe working together with a different country or having immigrated to another country and seeing some hurdles still in collaborating?
Yes,
Hmm?
I can tell
Yes.
you
Okay.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am collaborating right at the moment with Dr. Cohen. I also have a talk with him tonight at 10 o'clock
Great.
CET. And I'm writing a book together with him, or he is writing a book, and I can write a chapter in his book about trauma, how to treat trauma with virtual reality, and especially this subject is about sexual trauma, so sexual
Yeah.
harassment, for example, how to treat that with virtual reality, and it's really a really nice collaboration. So we known each other now for a few months, and it started
Yeah.
by an introduction from a mutual partner, and then it started by writing a book together, and now we
Awesome.
doing this together. So it's really amazing what can happen uh,
Yeah. And
through
have you seen
virtual
him in person?
reality, actually.
Have you
Sorry,
ever seen him in person?
on Skype.
Yeah, see, that's great. So you don't have to see someone. I was a game addict before. I always worked with a lot of countries in the gaming industry. I guess in games it's so common, and there's no other world that just work together with so many different countries. But what I figured out now is that there are actually uh, companies that are selling their company or merging companies by not even seeing the other person that they are selling it to. So they don't have a cup of coffee anymore together, and they just sold a business. A friend of mine has a company, Wonderbrief, and there was a platform to help digital nomads all across the world with experiences, with travels, with tips and tricks, with how to do that, how to live cheap in another country. And they just merged with a US-based company, but they only Skyped, and they finalized the deal via Skype, and that was amazing, right? This is about long-term collaboration, and then they give the great example of selling the company online. They don't have to meet each other in person because they trust each other so well by just connecting to each other online quite often. So that's great, Dana, and it's awesome that you're working on such a society quest. It's amazing how VR can be used for traumas and for all of these matters that have to do with psychology. And as you maybe have looked into my introduction text on my presentation, I was also talking about brain-to-brain computing, because I'm now, for example, doing inspiration shots with EEG-controlled drones, where you can fly a drone by using your brain waves. So whether you're focusing or meditating, you can actually let the drone fly. And if you're getting better and better on it, you get scores for the amount of time that the drone stays in the air. And people are like, whoa, what is this? Is it already possible? Yes, it's possible. And that's maybe an extra perk that we will be able to buy for Oculus Quest, that we just plug and play. If that's companies like Muse that are creating glasses to do meditation in the morning that are based on EEG. They are getting so small that they are now partnering up with famous glasses companies that are able to put it into normal glasses, an EEG scanner. So if this technology in the next 2 or 3 years becomes that small that in this headset, yeah, it's already possible because these headsets are quite big, but it's something that if you're giving someone a hand and you see on his smartwatch a color, how this person is feeling, at the first moment you give each other a hand, I think we can create massive empathy towards each other, and then we can learn to work together much better with people that are not from our industry and that are not from the same language. And maybe even dating becomes a completely different thing if you can look into the emotions of a person. We are developing this outside of education, outside of health hackathon. We are developing smartwatches that are connected to a class for handicapped people, mentally ill people. So mentally ill people have a hard time to speak out, to let those they can giving care, let them know what they want. And now we can look on the watch, on the color of the watch, and actually know if the person is angry or sad, and if that person needs extra attention. So this is outside a hackathon in healthcare, outside the Dutch Hacking Health Hackathon. And the person that are now developing, I'm coaching them on further developing this into a pilot project because it's so brand new and it's of course not perfect at the start. So that's something that you can do in co-creation. If we look at the world, if you look at the globe, we are with 7 billion people right now, and you look at these platforms and then you look at how much impact they make. We actually can see that it's the form that you're providing, the deception phase again, the form that you're providing that are able to almost get everyone on board in this online collaboration space. So you see that Facebook, for example, is, if you look at the globe, they are reaching out to 3.5 billion people via all the channels they have. It's amazing how much people are able to work together now because they have created a form that is easy accessible for everyone, whether you're educated or not. You only need an app, or you only need an internet connection to get started in this collaboration space. And that gets me really excited about this. So maybe it's not the same as GitHub, where you're actually co-developing things. It's a further form of co-creation where you're co-creating stuff. But it's actually a crowdsourcing channel that can turn into a platform for co-creation if you are facilitating this on the right way. So if you give people the right tools and the right process so they can see this thing as a way to co-create. You want to question something or you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yes, Stirian from Norway.
Yes.
It's very interesting what you're talking about. I have a little bit problems with listening to you because it's very low. I've tried to communicate that here, that the voice is very low, but maybe it's just me, but I can barely hear you. And the last things you were talking about is very interesting because we are working with getting people out to jobs, and that's people that have physical and mentally problems. So we are looking into using VR with the motivation, inspiration, getting people to want to do something with their lives and start maybe education or work. So what you're talking about,
And
so
you want
what
to
you
get them into the market again, into a job again.
Yeah.
All right.
So
it's a
some of them are
reintegration
also
program, perhaps?
what?
Is it a reintegration program where they have worked before, or they are coming from school and they cannot find work for a few years?
Yes, it's dropouts from schools. It's people that have been out of job for some years because of some various reasons. It's the new Norwegians that come in that need the Norwegian language to learn that and to get out of job. So it's a variety of person. It's criminals. It's a variety. So we a lot of them need help to to find themselves or to find out what they want to do with their lives, what they want to work with, what kind of possibilities they have, and a lot of them are very, what can I say? My language is a little bit difficult. It's difficult to express myself in English sometimes to find the words, but
yeah, you do very well.
But they have lack of motivation or inspiration to do something. And I think through VR and different kinds of apps, we can get them a little bit going on. They want to do something. This is fun. This is they feel that they can do something, and they I don't know what the English word is, messaging. I can't find it now, but
let me give you some tips. I think the slide that I'm showcasing right now is actually a way to get people on board. How to set up such a process where you find the win-win situation for both sides, right? For those that have jobs available that are unable to find people for work, and those who really want to work but maybe are not ready for it yet because they don't have the education or the mental stage to already start working. Maybe they want to start with 1 day a week, and maybe not the functionality, and not everything is matched right now. So let's look at these 4 steps. The first thing is that if you have a common goal, the one has the goal of making sure they meet the expectation of their clients, like the production line is willing to produce, for example, Tesla cars. They are willing to produce 500,000 Tesla cars this year, and they're unable to do so because they cannot find enough people to ramp up production. Then there's, of course, there are specialists needed for that job. They have a lot of different specialists needed. But if you look at the biggest need they have, for example, they need car mechanics, and that's the biggest need they have. Then you can turn that car mechanics job into a VR course or into a massive open online course to start with. You look at the platform that people can access. So you start with an online course, for example, on edX.org, you start with an online course, and then you see, oh, maybe people find it hard to get that discipline to finish that online course. So we need a community manager in there. And with the community manager, they can encourage people to go on and to finish that. And if they have done that, they assure themselves a job at the Tesla factory. That's some way we can start. So, but if you look at VR, what we see is that people learn 2.5 times faster from 0 to a certain skill with VR because it's so immersive. People are able to learn much faster. So if we have that course material, the videos and everything that we need to get people aligned, if we already use 360 cameras on the job, we let the current employee that's good at the field walk with the VR camera on his cap, let him walk around, let him do his work, and then we only have to be the subtitle person. We only have to put the step-to-step, like tools over there to the process in place. Then we can use AR. I'm for example working together with FieldBit. That's AR for businesses, business to businesses, where you can actually help a company from another country, a manufacturing company. You can manage the production worker remotely. You look through the eyes of that person in that factory, and you can give him step-by-step answers, real time, on how to solve the problem. For example, process technology. Process technology, there's a lack of people studying that field, and all the companies that have a manufacturing, they want to automate the manufacturing line, and they don't need production workers after 10 years anymore. So they have to reschool them. But it's a very intensive program. It takes 4 years, and people work with their hands, and now they have to work with their brains to become a process technologist, which is so hard that we had a hackathon around this matter, and that we figured out that they needed an escape room to finish the exam, because a book, 40% of the students, they are working 20 years in a factory and they have to open a book again. Of course this will fail. So they need different materials, they need different hands-on experience to learn a new skill. So what we did is we turned the exam into an escape room where they had to work together on solving a complex problem in a factory that we were mimicking with 3D printing that factory. But we don't even have to do that if we co-create better with the companies they are going to work for, because the facilities are already there. And maybe they're not running 24/7. Maybe they're running 9 to 5, and then you can use the spare time in the evening for training. And then you have a real exam that even people that work 20 years in a factory can finish, because they are allowed to work with their hands on finishing the exam. So it's always searching for how to treat a person, what is the person capable of? Is it learning from a book, from writing, learning from a video, learning from do-it-yourself instructions, and then turning that into a MOOC? And if you're skilled enough to turn that into a 360 environment, for example, using these 360 cameras, if you do that from the start, these cameras are quite cheap already, and put that all of these videos on YouTube, and give people a glass like the Oculus Go to walk through these courses, they are able to skill themselves within weeks instead of months or years. So if we go that way, there's so much potential for unemployment, to solving unemployment by using these new technologies, but the companies and the people are not aware of these solutions already. So we have to show best practices, and we have to give them examples. So I want to walk you through some of the examples right now, if that's okay. So the question is, how can we enable more people to contribute as a teacher, as a maker, as a co-creator, to create these courses, for example? What I like about this VR world is that we are already recording this. Try to ask a normal teacher in a normal school to record themselves, or record the whole classroom with a 360 camera. They won't allow you to do it because of privacy issues. Someone doesn't want to be on the camera, then we have a problem. Editing 360 footage is really hard, so they don't film. But if you look at this space, we don't have a privacy issue here because we are an avatar. So if we film this and record this, that whole problem is not in place anymore. No, we don't look bad today and tomorrow neither. So we can use this and record real time, and also real time broadcast this for protecting people's privacy, and making the same lessons available that are done in the classroom, and that we can do in VR right now. Okay, we need some more tools there. Working with our hands is still a bit hard, but yeah, also Oculus Quest is evolving. We can now use our hands instead of these sticks, and it becomes more and more reality. And I guess we have to look at AR if we want to ramp up this, because we can still work in this physical space. So AR might be a faster way to do so. So if you have the web, the platform, the channel, if you have social technologies, if you look at, for example, Uber, Airbnb, and these companies, they have mastered referral models, getting people on board. And if we look at Altspace, maybe we can help Altspace a little bit further. How can we get more people on board by giving people incentives to? So gamers, they have incentives, and let's try to find better incentives for people to join such channels as this. Facebook is so easy to access, but this might be a little bit too far away from the average person to access. So we have to find social technologies, marketing ways, to give people more interest in joining this, whether it be, for example, having a stage to present on as a teacher, giving them a class full of people from all over the world. Probably they will do it, and they will want to do it for free. And if we start this, we can create a new Wikipedia where people are actually making courses in the VR world. And then we have this immersive teaching, of course. How can we create this space, more interactive space? How can we feel, for example, that we are happy with each other? Now we do it with emoticons, but if you look at suits that are being developed, where you can feel everything, so we can actually really hug each other in this world and feel that we are hugging each other, then I think this deception phase will ramp up. So by making smart clothing, interactive clothing available for more and more people, like the cardboard made VR accessible for people, we have to create suits, clothing that gives us, for example, a handshake feeling. And there are companies like Manus VR in the Netherlands that are creating these glows. These glows have so much sensors in them that you don't need these crazy goggles anymore, and you don't need these handheld devices anymore to actually give each other a handshake. So we need to make that more accessible to really create the immersive experience that we have in the real world with each other. And then this disruption will start. So then this platform will become much more used than it is today already. So we call it online brain sharing, or I call it online brain sharing, and that's the question is how we leverage the internet uses to collaborate and co-create through online brain sharing. One of the things that we do, and maybe you've joined Spurgeon's presentation yesterday, we have set up a lab, a technology lab. It's called the Permanent Future Lab, where we have a physical space in a space, seats to meet in a space where a lot of people can freely co-work. As globally, it's 1,500 locations that people can freely co-work now with abundant spaces. People are not using these spaces for rental, but we are sharing technology in these spaces. So everyone has access to use new technology. What if we could share our Oculus Quest tomorrow? And what space would it be where people walk by and won't steal the thing and are willing to host that? Probably that's in a school, because people go to school with the purpose of learning, and they're probably not going to school with the purpose of stealing. But probably there are also other spaces that we can find. So if we are starting to share our technology, then this democratization and demonetization ramps up, and new business models, sharing economy business models will become a new standard. And then we don't see that scarcity in resources anymore. So that's something that we can already start. Maybe someone of you wants to give an example of what technology they share. Is there someone that shares technology already? I see technology as an enabler, so sharing enablers, maybe Lego, sharing Lego with your neighbor, sharing tools for creativity, for example. No one yet? All right. So much possible.
Yeah,
So much
I
potential.
do actually.
Yeah.
I do. I do sometimes share my technology, virtual reality technology.
And then
So,
people, how are people using it?
so they
doing?
practice. For example, I give it to use to try out, and sometimes I just give free workshops so people can
Yes.
know what it's about. So this is how I share the technology. Also to get a wider spread of the virtual reality technology and to get people interested in working with it.
Yeah, that's great. So the Permanent Future Lab, to elaborate on that, Dana is also connected to the Permanent Future Lab and to our meetup channel, where we are sharing knowledge every month on the Tech Tuesday. And then we share technology as well with people that have understanding about the technology. But the technology itself, we have Permanent Future Lab, it lays there. Everyone is able to use that. Of course, it's not being used by a lot of people because they don't understand the technology yet. But look at ways of making it more useful. For example, giving them an instruction card by giving them a QR code on the device with instructions, and then publish it on instructables.com. It's an open source platform where people are sharing instructions to build stuff. So that's an open source channel, and then we can democratize this faster. So that's that I'm really passionate about, so making education accessible for everyone. And then this question changes. If knowledge is becoming free, if we don't have to go to school to obtain knowledge, because people are all sharing knowledge via YouTube and other channels, what would be the main goal of education? So that changes into what problem do you want to be solving, and what do you need? What enablers do you need to get that problem solved? Go ahead. You can talk.
You were talking about Oculus Quest channel. Which channel is that?
Oculus just channel. I mean the virtual reality space that we are in now, but the Oculus Quest itself as a tool. What I do is I bring it to a lot of places where I go to, I put it in the car, or I bring it to a lab where people are walking in very often, and then people are able to try out the Oculus Quest. They are using it, and if they want to use it commercially, they are sharing profits with me. But if they're not using it commercially, they can use it for free. Maybe they have good ideas about this, and then we can set up a project together. So that's like how we are sharing technology. Now I'm giving a presentation in a space that is filled with technology. I'm unfortunately not able to show it, but I brought a HoloLens, and I brought some self-driving cars, and all of these small things I brought together because, yeah, that's like, now it's like a habit to do that. And if I give a keynote, I always want to give people a tryout afterwards. So I want to offer you a tryout in our labs, but unfortunately I cannot do it yet in this space. But maybe one day with, for example, the meta that is emerging between the virtual and the real world, we can draw a 3D image over here, and then we can send it to the 3D printer. And then we can print out the thing that we designed right away. So we can co-design, we can draw this thing together, and then we can print it out and then have it in the physical world. And that's really exciting for me. The things that are in co-creation important are two things. One thing is that if you're co-creating, you're willing to tackle a problem, or if you're co-creating, you're willing to get new inspiration, creativity. And that's about creativity has two types. So informed creativity, where you're asking people to co-create on solving a specific challenge, where there's a specific market for example, the job employment. There's a need and there's a pool of people. They can work together and they can, there's a match, they can solve it together. And if you look at authentic creativity, it's more about individually sharing your ideas and creating arts, for example. So these two forms you have to think about. People are not always willing to contribute to a target, a goal, but willing to contribute to an idea, a brainstorm session. So look at that, and when you are starting such a project, look at the incentive of people to join. Some people, they don't want to join on a commercial goal. Some other people, they do want to join and they want to go create a company, for example, together. So let me wrap up this session by giving these 6 attributes again, and look at how we can, for example, evolve the education industry. Giving people a goal in education might be a better incentive than just getting a grade. So a goal of, for example, helping loneliness out of the world, and giving them the tools, like sharing technology, for example, the Oculus Quest and EEG sensors and sensor technology. By giving them the tools, they can actually reach that goal. And giving them the coaching, which is like the community manager that I discussed about, giving them the coaching would actually make them do it. And in the end, maybe giving them a stage outside the school into the real world would make them an entrepreneur. So look at all of these possibilities that we currently have in education, and start creating this ideal space for problem solvers to actually make an impact. I have a lot more slides, but I'm just going to showcase some of these pictures of events that we organized, and things that matters a lot to me. So I really want people to not work on a job that drains their energy, and I want people to create their own jobs. That's why I'm supplying technology. That's why I'm enabling people with knowledge. But if you look at more problems, then if you look at your own specific heart, where you are so motivated about, and then look at all the channels and all the tools that you need, we can actually, if we start sharing these problems, we can actually solve these problems together. I would love to set up a brainstorm session the next time here, where we take a complex problem and then we are trying to do an online hackathon inside VR. We are trying to solve a challenge, for example, in an hour. And then we are bringing all these tools together online and physically to actually start creating impact together in this space. So I really want to thank you all for your time. I'm going to finish up right now. If there's any questions, do please meet me outside of the room in the social space, and I would love to connect with you guys. So friend me up. If there anything that you need in terms of things that I shared over here, I will share my presentation as well on SlideShare, so you can also see it after this presentation as well and use it for your own benefit. So thank you, and it was lovely to host you here in VR. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nick.
You're welcome, Dana.
Give a big hand again to the innovator, how you say it? Evangelist op zijn Engels? Evangelist. So thank you so much, Nick. A real innovation evangelist. Give a big hand and see you soon again in VR. Nice to have you.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go.
Real quick.
Oh yes, make a selfie
with the audience in the back. Eh?
Yeah.
There we go, guys.